Hi there, I'm James. I'm a millennial that makes films about nomadic living and videos about indie filmmaking. I'm currently dog sitting in an apartment in New York City, which is something I never thought I would say. Underbite is in full force today. It's giving me the side eye. And I recently wrapped another one of these branded documentaries with the travel company Selina. Selina is essentially a fancy hostel mixed with a WeWork for digital nomads. If you're interested in finding out how I got the opportunity to work for Selina and travel for free, then you can check out the first video in the playlist. Which side is it on? Here. Okay, let's jump in. Step 1, choosing the subject. This is always the most nervy part of the process because you touch down in a location and you have a week to put together a short form documentary. So I touched down in New York, my first time in the city, which is already like having a fire hose open up in your face. And instead of finding tour guides or local people of interest, I decided to start with interviewing 4 people that already worked at the Selina location in Chelsea. Now it can always be tricky striking a balance between finding a story that the client wants to tell and figuring out what narratives are readily available at any given location. By blind luck, I found Byron, who is the head chef at the Chelsea Selina location. He originally moved to New York City to become an electrical engineer, but then became an executive chef when engineering school got too expensive. I actually got the chance to use a really fun little interview hack when I was with Byron. If friends or family of the subject are available, have them in the room with you. Better yet, have them ask the interview questions. The questions can still be ones that you prepared, and you can encourage them to add their own. Firstly, that allows you to focus on filming, and you can always jump in and out with your own questions. If you prefer the handheld, rugged, dare I say, cinematic style, then having someone else ask the questions is an absolute dream. Secondly, it's going to be easier for the subject to go to a vulnerable, more meaningful place with somebody that they already have a bond with. The subject's girlfriend was available on the day, so I was lucky enough to have her ask him the questions. In reality, no matter how many bad but hopefully endearing jokes I make on set, it can be tricky to have a subject completely open up to a stranger. I mean, Brandon from Humans of New York does it, but it's damn near impossible not to love that guy. Step 2, reviewing the interview. After interviewing a subject, I will transcribe said interview painstakingly by hand for hours. Or I just use software. Scanning. Otter.ai and Descript both have free trials you can use to generate transcripts. And if it's free, it's for me. Once that's done processing, I will group the talking points thematically using Roam Research. I used to use Milanote because its graphic interface is a little bit more visual, but I decided to use Roam on this project. It's a little bit more simplistic, but it can help you explore themes that you otherwise wouldn't have using its network thought functionality. Step 3, revising the voiceover. Once you have the main 2 to 3 salient themes, you can restructure the voiceover a little bit using the transcript. With the benefit of hindsight, structure the flow of dialogue around the key talking points and help the subject sound a little bit more eloquent than when they were just answering questions off the cuff. Side note, while I'm doing all this interviewing, transcribing, and reviewing, I'm usually taking local tours and generally exploring the city I'm in with a camera around my neck to capture footage here and there. Step 4, creating a guiding narrative and shot list. Using the newly revised script, I'll build a shot list in Notion, using the footage I've already taken and other sources of inspiration that is inevitably shot way better than anything I could ever shoot. In this case, as we're rocking a culinary theme, that's chef's table, cinematography, and general narrative structure. Most Chef's Table's episodes, that's really hard to enunciate. The episodes follow a very similar narrative structure, Joseph Campbell's traditional hero's journey. So I somewhat tried to emulate that in this piece while still staying faithful to the original interview. I then have Byron read the revised interview and I create selects out of that voiceover and drop it into a timeline in Premiere Pro. Now the fun part. Step 5, collecting final footage for the assembly cut. With the revised voiceover in a timeline, I finally start to get a feel for what the final piece is going to look like. Using the shot list in Notion, I'll go back out into the city and collect footage that will complement the revised voiceover that we've locked. After that, I'll jump back into Premiere Pro, Final Cut, and use the collected footage and voiceover to pull together a rough visual cut to help guide the rest of the edit. After that, I'll do a basic color grade and spend way too long on sound design, trying to find something like the perfect whoosh sound. And then it's on to the last step, collaborating with the client to lock the final cut. Once the rough cut is locked, I'll deliver it to the client for their notes. Sometimes additional pickup shots might be needed. For instance, in this case, the client wanted a wider diversity of dishes in some of the culinary scenes. So we went back to the kitchen, Byron cooked us up some more food, which we then ate. What a life. After we've gone through a few rounds of notes with the client, I will provide a series of deliverables in a variety of aspect ratios and formats, and we're done. As always, if you've got this far, it really warms my heart. This whole YouTube thing is still so new to me that if you're watching this all the way to the end, I really appreciate it. You're a trooper. Drop me a line in the comments or join our nomadic living newsletter below. Until next time, much love.